Hello, what is up everyone? It is I, the one and only Rainbow Dash here, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll present you the next installment of my video game collection video. Because I believe that previously that Starlight Glimmer has already done the forms of PlayStation 3, and now we're going to be taking on the forms of the next video game collection video based off from the PlayStation series, and this time it's the PlayStation 4. And this particular machine first released in 2013, which is roughly the same day as when Xbox One has been first launched back in, I believe it's in the 22nd of November 2013. So, and obviously, much like PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 2 and PS1, this particular PlayStation 4 also has different models as well. Like, as you can see, I've got the slim version, which later on came out in, I would say, in 2016, along the same year as when a much more enhanced version of the PS4 Pro, which I think that came out in the same year as well, but on a different month. And talking of which, though, actually, is the fact that usually, obviously, we've got this since back in Christmas 2016, if you guys want to check it out. And this machine, it usually cost about, back in the day, that is, it was roughly about 350 £350 slash $400 in US. And much like the PlayStation 3, is that this obviously plays DVD and Blu-ray as well as digital stuff as well, which I think is likely 20% cooler. And also to top it off is that there wasn't any backwards compatibility, sadly, even though it technically does, but on the PlayStation Now subscription, mainly with the forms of emulated PlayStation 2 stuff, which is a little bit of a shame, but thankfully the PlayStation 5 does have a backwards compatibility on the PS4 games. So, but unfortunately we still haven't got around to that though, because, you know, it's out of stock completely. And I think for what I can gather is that this machine did manage to sell very, very well actually, as in the forms of well, let's just say September 30th, 2020 recently, it's been sold for about 113.6 million units sold, or shipped, I should say, which I think is actually pretty swell, I have to say, because I'm pretty sure it's because the PlayStation 4 did manage to do slightly better than the forms of how it does it on Xbox One because of some really strange name addition to that, but I digress. Much like the PlayStation 3, the best-selling game for the system is obviously Grand Theft Auto 5, which should be expected because that was the biggest game in the entire Grand Theft Auto series, even though I'm not exactly sure if the sixth one will come out, but hey, at least it's something, alright? And yeah, it's a pretty cool system, and as a result, I think it's probably best for me to be able to buy the PlayStation 4 as opposed to Xbox One. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting in the end there. So we'll just lift that to the side over there. Jeez, it's quite heavy. So much more heavier than the PlayStation 3 was. So anyways, that's not the reason we're here for this video, because much like always, we have ourselves some games library. So let's get this thing started. And of course, like always, it's going to be alphabetical order. So even then, no, we'll just get this thing started here. So the first game we have for the PlayStation 4, Burnout Paradise Remastered. And I managed able to play it, and I do enjoy it for a bit. Even though I need to get back into this though, because obviously I need to play the past Burnout games, which I still managed to enjoy those on the PlayStation 2 era. But apart from those side things though, I'm very glad that I managed to get this, because usually it contains every single DLC stuff, including the forms of some expansion kit, more vehicle parts, or etc, etc. So yeah, I'm very glad to have this. And recently, during the course of this year, that I think it's this year, or is it last year, although I may be wrong. But recently, that Nintendo Switch version of Burnout Paradise has recently came out. So if you want to play on the go, then, well, by all means, you can able to do that. Now, of course, I've got this version for the sake of the actual trophy system, so yeah, that's how it goes. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Much like the Nintendo Switch version, we've pretty much got this during day one when it first came out in 2017, and I'm really loving this game. Obviously, it contains the fully remastered 3 games, mainly with Crash Bandicoot 1, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back, and of course everyone's fan favorite, which is, of course, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Anyway, enough about that. And I haven't played this version as much as the forms I would like to will be. Probably because, unfortunately, the PS4 version does have a really long, drawn-out loading times, which thankfully, it does manage to fix during the forms of the Switch, or Nintendo Switch, I should say, alongside with the Xbox One versions, and even the PC Steam versions as well. But for its worth, you should definitely recommend this. And because recently they just put in the forms of 2 unused levels bring back thanks to Vicarious Visions managed to able to bring those 2 levels in. Mainly one from Crash Bandicoot 1 and the other one for Crash 3 Warped. So yeah, that's, 20% cooler as to be expected. Speaking of another Crash Bandicoot stuff, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, the proper sequel to one of the best acclaimed PlayStation games of all time. And I'm very glad this exists because even though some people seem to able to think the developers of this has been completely forgotten, the Wrath of Cortex story, because you know how Wrath of Cortex has got pretty much mixed bag as far as you guys should probably already know at that point. And as far as I'm totally shocked about this, is that this game does have PEGI 12, which actually represents bad language. There was that one moment where you play as Dingo Dial. I think that's why I can able to pronounce his name very correctly. Yeah, I think it's so. He did say like 2 nasty words, which I'm sure that most people seem to already notice by that point. And unfortunately, I need to get around to this though eventually. Eventually, I was gonna able to complete Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy first, and then I can probably get into this. Or if not, then I can probably just hit into this after we are done with this video. And I'm very looking forward to able to playing this because it's been about 22 whole years since the last proper sequel to Crash Bandicoot, which is of course the 3rd one, and most people are very happy about that, including myself. Because everyone loves Crash Bandicoot stuff. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Much like the Nintendo Switch version, I pretty much got this during the same day as the Switch version, and for the same reason, and also because this is on the PS4, it does contain a retro content, which actually features some of these classic retro skins based off from the PlayStation 1 classic racing game, which as you can see on screen right here. And I haven't played this that much though, probably it's because I'm more into the forms of another franchise that I'll definitely talk more about it in just any moment's notice. But for its worth, you should definitely recommend this, even though be fully aware though that this game does also have bad loading times as well. Same applies to the forms of the Insane Trilogy on the PS4, but still looks awesome, and I'm very glad this remake exists back in 2019 because, the original game has been out for about, back in the day, since about a year ago, 20 years old. But every now and then, since this is now 2020, Crash Team Racing is now becoming 21 years old, which also applies for Crash Bash, which is the actual party game. I'm pretty sure that Pinkie Pie were able to love that, but I digress. Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 remakes, 2 packs all in one particular compilation game. I think, seemingly to say, this is easily the best versions of these compilations games. Because, for one thing, it actually obviously includes the same exact games as in the forms of how it does it on the PS3 counterparts, except the fact that everything else, mainly with the first 4 games, as you can see there, they now run in 60 frames per second as opposed to 30, which I appreciated. And also the loading times has been significantly better, mainly with the forms of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. And I can tell you right now, I absolutely adore this compilation. Easily the best versions of the entire compilation games, I have to say. And I probably should get back into this though every now and then, mainly with the forms of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, and eventually Birth by Sleep Final Mix as well. And yeah, I did watch both movies in this compilation, so mainly with 350 over 2 days, as well as the, Recoded, which despite how pretty shallow the story is on that game. Speaking of another Kingdom Hearts stuff, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. And this compilation does contains, I would say 3 games all in one. Well, one movie cinematic, which appears to be Kingdom Hearts Key back cover, which is actually based off from a mobile game, Kingdom Hearts Key, Unchained, or Union Cross, whatever you want to call it. And also some of these, HD ports or HD remastered version of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, which previously has been released on the Nintendo 3DS. And of course the tech demo based off from Kingdom Hearts 3, which is of course Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. I've only haven't gone into this compilation as much compared to the forms of HD 1.5 plus 2.5 remakes. But I will definitely get back into this at some point, if I got enough some time of it though. And this is one of the first ever PS4 games I actually owned. Not counting Shovel Knight though, because somehow we managed to sell it. So even then though, that's something's worth pointing out. Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh yes. I will still say this right now, I absolutely enjoyed this game. Graphics look beautiful for its time, even on the PlayStation 4, and you can now able to actually play this on the PlayStation 5, which actually reduces loading times length, and also the actual enhanced graphics or something. But either way, I haven't really looked upon it that much though. But hey, recently, because you know how this year does contain the first Kingdom Hearts DLC thing, which is of course Remind DLC, which actually features extra stories, extra boss fights, and all that jazz. And I absolutely had a blast for this game. And I will still say this is easily my game of the year of 2019, since I'm a Kingdom Hearts fanatic. But usually most people complain about the forms of the story sometimes, but honestly it doesn't bother me that much though. And sure, this game is actually really dang easy compared to the forms of how it does it on the previous games. Well, most notably for the base game, but as far as DLC is concerned, it will be a heck of a lot of the actual content they're able to got, like pro codes, all that jazz, and I can still manage to able to replay the game time and time again if I'm gonna do the pro codes run through. So, wish me luck on that one. Mega Man 11, which tends to be celebrating the 30th anniversary. Well, usually it first came out in 2018 for Mega Man 11, but ultimately speaking though, that's how it usually goes basically. Yeah, if you're following for our channel, that's, we did done this game as a Let's Play, and from what I can tell, it's actually pretty good, even though I will still say that Mega Man 2 is easily without doubt the best ones out of all the actual Mega Man games I've ever played, but it's nice, comeback from the likes of the 2D Mega Man games after 10 whole, I would say 8 years since, Mega Man 10, for basically multiple HD consoles for that time. So yeah, I'm very glad able to have this. And I don't know if Mega Man 12 were able to be happening, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe on PlayStation 5 or something, but I don't know. It's so hard to tell because of how the fact that this year has gone downright terrible. But usually that's how, as far as I can say. Sonic Forces, which also contains the bonus edition, much like the Nintendo Switch version. Basically got this for the sake of the forms of the same reason as I've got multiple versions of Sonic Generations and Sonic Unleashed. And same applies to the forms of the Switch version. I think this game is okay. I mean, not the best Sonic games I've ever played, but it's okay. I mean, hopefully by that time next year, for the Sonic's 30th anniversary, hopefully it should be a lot more better than this. Although, speaking of Sonic the Hedgehog, oops, I hit that microphone, my mistake. Sonic Mania Plus Ah, yes, I absolutely enjoyed this game. Much like the Nintendo Switch version, I basically got this for pretty much the same reason, and also because of how the fact that I can able to actually enjoy this game time and time again, thanks to the forms of the returning characters like Mighty the Armadillo, as well as Ray the Flying Squirrel, and I'm very glad that was the case. Haven't gone back into it as much, but hey, at least I'm hoping we can able to do a playthrough of Encore mode at some point next year, but we don't know when exactly. But at least I fully enjoyed this. So yeah, that's all I was to say. No comments on that because I think Blossom has already mentioned about this since Nintendo Switch game collection. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. And much like the Switch version, I basically got this for the same reason. And also, if you guys can clearly do not know this already, I actually platinum. I actually got all the trophies in the PS4 version, including the platinum trophy, and I basically accomplished everything in the game. Aside from that one missing content, which is of course the actual theater kind of building, but to me it's pretty worthless. But I digress. I actually really enjoy this, and yeah, we might as well able to possibly might do a let's play of this at some point, on the Switch version, but again, it really doesn't, I don't know, I'll just try to think about it. But I digress. Very glad to able to actually have the remake, or the remaster I should say, because the game soundtrack is pretty much the same. Although the graphics themselves do look a bit better though, from the likes of the original counterpart, but at least I did enjoy this nonetheless. Spyro United Trilogy, which much like Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, this also contains 3-in-1 games, which there are obviously Spyro the Dragon, Spyro 2 Raptor's Rage, and The Year of the Dragon. And much like the Switch version, I pretty much got this for the same reason, and it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that you have to require a digital download to able to get games 2 and 3, which is kind of a misunderstanding for how this system works. But either way though, for what it's worth, I think you should definitely still recommend getting this this compilation game. And because of this though, you can also play it on the go on the Switch version, and I'm very glad that the remake of the first 3 games of Spyro does exist. God knows if they're able to make Spyro the true proper Spyro 4, not Enter the Dragonfly, because you know that game has been poorly received on the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube. But let's just hope that somebody out there were able to make Spyro the Dragon 4, the true Spyro the Dragon 4, if possible. But God knows when, but we'll see what happens. Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD, and overall, it's an alright remaster. I mean, I kind of wish if they have like the original Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2 remastered as opposed to Banana Blitz HD. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's one of the weakest remasters I've ever played. Like, you know, cuts out content, likely cuts out 40 party games, like it actually includes 10 as opposed to 50, and some other side modes, which are pretty okay. At least the Sonic the Hedgehog as a playable character, as the unlockable character I should say, is a cool idea. But apart from that though, nah, I kinda wish they were able to remake the first game and the second game will be the better. Because I can totally definitely see why. That most people just not a big fan of Banana Blitz itself back in the Wii generation, but that's how it usually goes. Team Sonic Racing. Much like the Switch version, I basically got this around the same day, and because of trophy support. And also, the disc versions of Team Sonic Racing does include the actual intro to the actual whole thing, whilst in the Switch version, for whatever reason, does not include the intro, which I'm not exactly sure why. But for what I played it, and for those of you who haven't seen our Let's Play for this entire channel so far, thanks to Daffy Duck, we find it a bit alright. I mean, definitely one of our least favourites of the Sumo Digital Sonic Racing games. But overall, it's okay. Not one of my personal favourites though, in my opinion. Okay, folks, sorry for a little bit of a jump cut for this point because once again that we screwed over by the forms of our iPhone storage has been full up. But anyways, we got back to this. So anyway, the last game we have in terms of the PlayStation 4 physical games we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 Plus 2, which is basically a remake of the first two brilliant games in the old generation consoles since the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and of course the Sega Dreamcast. And we've played this on both the first game and the second game. It is really cool. And I think it's certainly easily this is better than the most recent numbered Tony Hawk's Pro Skater game out there, which is of course Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, because they did seriously screw it up on the fifth game, but I'm not going to get it because it's messed up beyond belief. But anyway, I'm very glad this existence, and hopefully I might as well get back into it at some point, if depending on the forms of other games needs to be planned on playing. And before we end this off at this point, ponies, and everyone else out there, much like the PlayStation 3, is that I'm going to be doing the honorable mentions, which is of course the PlayStation 4 digital download, so I'll meet you guys for that point. Sorry for this little jump cut for this point, guys, because recently I've managed to hook up my PS4 back into its actual plug cords, and I'm about to show you guys the honorable mentions, which is of course downloadable games, which I think I might able to actually just flap my wings for a bit and hold the controller in the process, so hopefully I should show you guys from here. So, let's see. We got Shantae and the Seven Saurians, which, if we've played it, it's actually not too bad, even though it's the most recent game for the Shantae series. So yeah, I should definitely recommend that. Castlevania Anniversary Collection contains all 8 different Castlevania games all in one package. And if we've played it, it's actually awesome, actually. Especially that I've managed to got every single Castlevania games on the PS4, as you can see on screen. Speaking of Castlevania, got Castlevania Requiem contains Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. And for we've played them both, it's actually pretty awesome too. And I definitely can't wait able to get on hands on those once I've finished up with the Anniversary Collection first. But overall, really good collection right here. Shantae Risky's Revenge Director's Cut, which is basically it's like a PS4 port to a Nintendo DSiWare game. And for what I've played it, it's actually not too shabby either. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Some people seem to say this is their best Shantae game ever, which I probably need to get around to this at some point once I finish up with the original Shantae game alongside with Risky's Revenge first. Shantae Half Genie Hero, pretty cool game, and it does have a lot of DLC content for that as well, and I should definitely recommend that. The Disney Afternoon Collection, which contains 6 games all in one particular package, which I think it contains DuckTales 1 and 2, Chip and Dale 1 and 2, Tailspin, and Darkwing. I think that's what the actual thing itself is called. The reason why I've got this is probably because of DuckTales games, basically. But, need to get back onto this at some point or another, but hey, at least it's nice to have. Mega Man Legacy Collection obviously contains Mega Man 1 through 6, and overall, I did have a really good time on that compilation game. And overall, you should probably notice on the right from the bat, though, is that we obviously have done the Mega Man marathon of games back in 2018, just to let you guys know. Speaking of Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, which obviously contains Mega Man 7 all the way up to 10, and overall, it was actually pretty okay. Even though 8 is not the best in the series, but apart from those side of things though, a nice collection to have. Mega Man X Legacy Collection, which obviously contains Mega Man X1 all the way up to X4. And this is easily the best collection of the Mega Man X series because of their nostalgia for the first game, and overall, you should definitely recommend this compilation. Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2 is an entirely different story, because otherwise, it obviously contains 2 good ones, mainly with X5 and X8, but X6, X7, not so much because they are both bad. It's definitely pretty laughable out there. But I'm sure enough, whenever we get around to those Mega Man X games in our next marathon at some point soon, oh boy, good luck for that particular Mega Man X6 or X7, because Jesus Louise. Anyway, and finally, for the digital download stuff, is Mega Man 0/ZX Legacy Collections, which contains Mega Man 0, 1 through 4, and also Mega Man X, ZX, and ZX Advert, which, if I've tested this out, it's actually not too bad, and I can finally able to actually play those games on the big screen, which is actually pretty swell, I have to say. But all in all, a nice little collection to have. So, yeah, that's pretty much about it in terms of digital download stuff, and that pretty much concludes our video game collection video all about the PlayStation 4. Hope you guys are able to enjoy this collection, and this is me, Rainbow Dash, from the Maxi Toys, and I suppose that the next up in terms of my video game collection video series, I believe we should probably move on to, I would say, probably PlayStation Portable up next. So even then though, because we're not exactly done with the PlayStation stuff from now on, because we've only got to 2 series left, but it's not going to be for a while though, until specifically next year, because we'll point things out whenever we get into it. So yeah, I must be flying off, and I'll see you ponies and girls out there soon enough. So I'll see you then.